Ty Blanche.
Good morning.
Principal and
How are you?
licensee. I'm well, thank you.
That's good.
I want to try and sell you something. Your title.
Yeah, that's fine.
Principal and licensee, LJH Commercial Central Coast.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Big title? Lots going on?
I think it's a long title. I don't think that it's a big title. We all have jobs to do, and that's the role that I'm in at the moment in my life.
And
Yeah.
we might come in a little bit more detail to that role, but we want to talk a bit about how you got to that position. 20 years on the Central Coast.
Yeah, 20 years.
Has it always been in real estate?
No, actually, I was at very, very early days coming back from Canada and the States and Mexico, where I lived for 2 years. I was actually in a Buddhist monastery. I was going to become a Buddhist monk. So I had a mohawk, earrings, tattoos, and I'm running around a Buddhist monastery getting ready to ordain for the rest of my life as a Buddhist monk.
Okay, well that was a starting point I wasn't ready for. And here's some news. No earrings. Things have changed.
Yeah.
Tell me that transition.
One of my key teachers up there, Cantapalo, his name's Lawrence Mills. He's about 85 years old now, so he's getting on. He said to me, that he felt that I was actually disposed to living more in the active Western world, and that I was running away from that to a certain extent. So part of what I did in self-evaluating where I was and what I wanted to do was to explore what he was saying to me, think about it. I actually disagreed. I really wanted to do what I was doing up at Wat Buddha Dharma, which is just at Spencer, a few hours away. But he said to me, no, you will go back to the world. And he said, anything that you can learn up here, you can learn down in the world. He said, just leave your mind open to it and it'll be fine. So, came down from Wat Buddha Dharma at Spencer to the Central Coast. And I remember getting dropped off the last time at Gosford and sitting there and thinking, what am I going to do? And I ended up in real estate, which is totally the other end of the spectrum from Buddhism in a sense.
Was the Central Coast your home prior to that, or?
For a while, but
Okay.
I had grown up and moved around Sydney about 10 to 15 times.
Okay.
So came up to the Central Coast with my mum and dad, moved up here. I went overseas for 2 years, as I said. When I came back, decided I wanted to go down that path of learning more about Buddhism and dedicating my life to that path. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey.
Absolutely.
There's a big swing. 6 years after I was in real estate, I was with Graham Black at the House of Real Estate in Gosford for about 3 or 4 years. Did my real estate licence at Tech. Then I went out to Amadeus, headed up the sales and leasing team, basically started the sales side of that business in Terrigal, which was a competitive environment, and certainly learnt a lot. But there was, for that first 6 years particularly, I remember really wrestling with what I was doing and the materialism of real estate, flash cars, fancy suits, and what I wanted to be doing, which was quite different. But I actually have learnt a lot, and I think I've integrated a lot of things that I believe into the industry on the Central Coast in a very subtle way through leading, through my own actions.
For your own sanity.
Yeah, well, it was for my own sanity, but it was also where I saw conflict between other real estate agents in other offices at different times for different reasons. Or if I got involved in a conflict, which was quite common and still is, depending on whether you're in residential or commercial and sales and leasing or property management, I was able to give a little bit of insight into a possible path that would be better for us. And I think just rubbing shoulders with people, you learn a lot. And I think that's what Cantapalo sort of got to me, that's what he got through to me, was that if I left my mind open, you can learn a hell of a lot more in a way working within dirty bathrooms or in real estate, or than possibly perhaps you can sitting cross-legged up in a temple. That's it.
Yeah. Amadeus was a turning point. You built and crafted your future there, I think.
It was the beginning.
Yeah. Things that have evolved since then to now, what strategies have you seen change in that evolution?
There's been a massive change in, I think, the management of people's time and in the openness of people who had certain skill sets, releasing those and basically training standards, the increase of the volume of the amount of training that you can receive, and how, if you really pick the eyes out of it, there's some really good things out there. We were talking outside before we came in about some gold nuggets.
Yeah, the nuggets.
So that was all through a part of transition in real estate generally in Australia and around the world, I think.
Can we talk a little bit more about managing time, for yourself and for other people?
Yeah, certainly.
What are you getting at there?
Well, I think using a weekly planner is definitely the way to go. That's key to managing your time. Having a weekly planner where you actually block out and discipline yourself to do certain things at certain times on certain days.
What things get ignored when you don't have a planner?
Well, I think one of the things that can become ignored is a personal aspect of your life. Work is one part of our lives, and in Buddhism, in martial arts as well, the wheel is often used as a symbol. Now, the symbol of the wheel, and many people might know about this, but you basically put your spirituality, family, business life, your investments, debt, all of these things out there, personal relationships, friends and family, and you try to balance the wheel and make it as round as you can by applying enough time and enough energy to each part of your life. So a weekly planner helps with that.
Yeah. And it is the fullness of life. You've just answered the work-life balance thing. Yeah, if your wheel's in alignment, it's cool.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, it's important to have meaningful work in your life. I think, Mark, too, the other thing is a lot of people forget that life is not just about getting the new house or the new car or the new Mercedes or the big holiday. We can become too focused on goals, and it can get out of balance in that way. Actually letting go and just sort of relaxing and expressing and having interpersonal relationships with other people, realising and cherishing the value in each moment. I know that sounds really spooky, spiritual, but
it's beyond work too, isn't it? It's life.
That's it.
Yeah.
And really, when you go to work, somebody said to me, "How many hours a week do you work?" And I said, "I don't classify how many hours a week I work, because my work is a part of my life, and I work when I'm not working, and I live when I'm not living, and I'm actually at work." So I think it's important to make things a little bit more colourful, in the sense that you use each moment at your work as a part of your life. Don't think of it as, I've got to go to work, especially for young people. I think that's a bad habit to get into.
Yeah, we talked about where you've been for the last couple of days at a management course, was it?
It was an advanced leadership business program. Yeah. So yeah, it was very good.
Some of the highlights out of that for you?
I would say key to it, and probably one of the most important things that I've taken from it, is again the energy, the revitalised energy to get back and actually discipline yourself, because we have a lot of time during each week, and that's why the weekly plan is good, that we can actually spend on things that are very beneficial for our own lives. But if we don't discipline ourselves to do it in a certain format, then a lot of the things do get neglected. One of the things that I did was basically just to make sure that I reevaluated everything in my life, and I have refocused and done certain things with health and fitness and training, and made sure that the other people that are underneath me in the organisation that work with me very closely with me are actually striving to get something that they really want, and find out why, find out what makes them tick, because that makes everything that you want to implement so much easier to implement. If you can show them that by doing that, they're going to get closer to what they want, it sort of takes care of itself.
What's the function of pressure or tension in this planning? Does it help the planning, or does it detract from the planning?
It doesn't really matter. Again, we're classifying the tension and the planning as being separate things, but they're just part of the whole thing. I think one of the interesting things about being in real estate and being in sales is that it has changed and evolved so quickly and so much over the last sort of 10 to 15 years. And we were just talking earlier about old mate next door. Lee Woodward is a very, very successful trainer. He's had influence on a lot of successful people on the coast, such as Matt Steinwade, a lot of other real estate agents as well. So we incorporate a lot of his hot topics and things as well in our training. But 10, 15, 20 years ago, for somebody to do something like Lee's doing was very unique. And there are a lot of people doing it now. So there's a lot of material available.
You were talking about one of those golden nuggets, the process that you can simplify the work day with. Do we get that in business on the Central Coast, where we can make life easier for ourselves?
I think, let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
I feel that people on the Central Coast and people in the Western world have had probably an easy run for a long time. Even though we're in hard times, people go broke and they have a trust that houses $1 million, fortune that their wife's sitting on, or their children get, to protect a certain amount of the assets. So I think when we see it tough, it's not like most of the rest of the world. And I think most of the rest of the world goes through the day without thinking, oh, I've got to go to work now. They get up and they work from the time they're awake until the time they sleep. As if you could go back 100 years, imagine yourself out on an old farm.
Yeah.
You wake up, you have chores and tasks, a lot of them menial tasks to do. But enlightenment is realising that all of those menial tasks and self-improvement are not separate from enlightenment. It's all part of the same thing.
And manage the wheel.
And manage the wheel,
Yeah.
correct. There's a lot of different analogies to how we can do it, and there's a lot of ways that we can create a solution that gets us what we want. I think making sure that we know clearly what we want. I won't mention who it is, but a very, very successful real estate agent on the Central Coast a couple of years ago said to me, Ty, he said, I'm just wondering if everything that I've been working for all this time and everything that I'm doing is really what I want. And so he had to go away and reflect. And he came back with a new approach and a new direction and a new reason why. The why is what is important.
Absolutely.
The what, of course it's important, but it's much more important to understand the why so that you can get what you want.
Okay. Ty, time for lots of other business interests. What have you got on your plate at the moment?
One of the main things, and probably the key development project that I'm working on at the moment, is SIMAC, which is SIMAC, Spirit Insight Martial Arts Centre.
Right.
It's $1 million development, which I'm doing at my own home at 120 Berkeley Road at Berkeley Vale. And it consists of a 450 metre nature walkway through the wetlands, popping out to commercial kitchen, male, female disabled amenities, a pro shop, office, storage area, and a 600 square metre, which is 20 metre by 30 metre, open air Gompa dojo, a gojo. It's set right on the water. It's going to be pretty spectacular. So that's just been DA approved. Now I've got to go out and find the right tenants for the tenancy mix in the development.
Fantastic. It is a beautiful spot.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll get you up there.
Yes, no, I ride past there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. When it comes to tenants for SIMAC, what would you prefer?
I believe that probably the main key ingredient tenant that we need is a good yoga school. We've got to find the right one. There's a lot of different ways that you can do yoga and teach yoga. So yoga is very important. Tai Chi as well, to be able to get a good Tai Chi operator in there. And probably the yoga operator, we want to take about 20 hours a week. So probably 4 hours a day, 5 times a week. And then with Tai Chi, probably 3 hours a day, 3 times a week. There's a school, Munamuso on the coast, which is the best martial arts school. Hanchi and Renchi, who are my instructors there, Gary Johnson and Leanne Johnson, they are actually moving over to a new premises at Erina. We can't disassemble that school and throw it straight up into Berkeley Vale, but we've got some key players who are higher in the above black belt over at Erina that will be teaching and directing the school over at SIMAC at Berkeley Vale as well, hopefully in the future too.
It's a great idea to bring it out from the old factory or the old warehouse base and turn it into a dojo.
Yeah, well that's true. Well, this is going to be very, very different to anything as far as factories or warehouses, which is where most martial arts, yoga, Tai Chi is done.
Yeah.
This is outside with massive sandstone columns and timber-lined ceiling in an open arena with water all around it and bush. So it's going to be really unique, very, very unique. In Australia, it'll be unique in the world.
Fantastic.
One of the things there that's really important from the tenant's point of view is that we've got yoga, meditation, mixed martial arts of Muay Thai, Krav Maga, Kusho, which is pressure point combat, as well as possibly meditation mixed with types of acupuncture and massage and things like that as well. So by mixing all of these tendencies, there's going to be a lot of synergy there for people. Someone might go there to do karate, but the mother who drops them off might end up doing the yoga course there. The father might be interested in doing yoga, and then whilst he's doing yoga, he learns that he can actually learn about massage and acupuncture. So he might start doing that as another course, and we're going to have discounts between the schools and things. Once we get it established, it'll be a good synergy for businesses there.
So that's big. Have you got anything else that will dominate your?
That's really one of my focal points. I certainly would like to suggest that Dinky Dye, the children's learning centres, we've got 2 childcare centres. One of them I have 2 partners in. We're doing a lot of work there, and work that's not necessarily going to give us $1 straight away, but longer term. One of the centres is in Gorican Drive at Lake Haven, which has a bad name, and I mean rightly so. There's probably along the strip there a lot of very poor housing commission people that do dabble in selling a little bit of pot and things like that. So it's a hard knocks area for the kids, but we've just spent $15,000 doing new vinyl, new carpet. We repainted within the last year, which looks hot. So we're putting a lot of resources in, and we're doing things that will benefit the kids, and then hopefully that will flow through to being a good business investment longer term, because it's certainly hard at the moment, difficult.
Indeed. We give everyone an opportunity to have a rant. If we could fix something for you, Ty Blanche, if it came to business, and
it's all good.
It's all good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.